Just like that.
Hey everybody, it's Old School Heart back with another video for you guys. So first things first, please hit the like button down below. Also subscribe if you have not gotten a chance to already. We welcome you with open arms here. And then please share this video on Facebook, on Instagram, take a snippet of it, put it on Snapchat. Do whatever you can to get this video out to as many people as we like. What I'd like to do here is start a discussion, conversation about current events and things that have been circulating around Facebook, Instagram, wherever. So this video is going to be on why the Black church has done a disservice to us as Black people. I know that is hard subject. Religion is a hard subject to discuss. But I could not ignore this any longer. And I really, really wanted to make sure that I gave a very thorough video on the subject. And it's something that has been discussed quite a bit lately, at least on my Facebook, on the videos that I've watched on YouTube and Instagram posts that they have. A lot of people have taken a disinterest in the Black church lately. One of those things, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video is because I look at a commentator by the name of Justin J here on YouTube. And Justin J was just talking about his frustration with the Walter Scott case. And the Walter Scott case was the one where the Black man was running and the police officer shot him in the back. And then either that police officer put some type of an object next to Walter Scott or a gun. He placed something there so that he could say that it was in self-defense that he killed him and that he feared for his life. Even though Walter Scott was running away from him, he still feared for his life. So he shot him in the back and killed him. And that trial ended up in a mistrial. And Justin J was just telling us how he felt about that and his frustration towards that whole case. And one of the things that struck me that he said was that the Walter Scott's family had their lawyer write a statement for them. And one of the things that they had said was, you know, we still have faith and we're still praying that God will bring us justice on this case. And Justin J, I love him for his honesty. And I will place that video down below so that you can watch it. But I love him for his honesty. He was like, I don't know if it's me, he said, but is it me or is God petty and he doesn't care about our oppression? And I had to think about that. Like, man, that is a rough statement. Like, it took me back. Like, man, like, is God petty? And the conclusion that I came to is not so much of God being petty, but the Black church being delusional. And the Black church ignoring our biggest issues in 2016, 2015, 2014, and 2013. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today, the decline in Black people going to Black churches. Because a lot of people, and even on my Facebook today, this guy asked this question, and he was like, why is it that you guys are so hurtful towards Christians now, and you're saying just mean things just because we believe in God? Why is that? And I answered him and I said, well, the reason why you're getting the responses that you're getting as a Christian is because we have hurt a lot of people. And I know some people won't get that, but we have hurt a lot of people. Yes, the Black church has hurt a lot of people. And not only have we hurt a lot of people, we've miseducated a lot of people. And we're still doing it today. And that is why you see the decline that you see and why people like Justin come up with this conclusion. Is God really petty? Well, a lot of that has to do with the Black church that you go to. And I'm not saying that that's everybody. I'm not going to put everybody in that basket. If it does not apply, you already know what you can do. You already know what you can do. If it doesn't apply, it doesn't apply to you. It doesn't apply to your church. But what I am seeing is that a lot of Black churches, especially if you grew up in churches in the early 90s, late 90s, in the 80s, that a lot of Black churches did not educate their members. Um, And that is why you see this big community coming up of what you call woke people. And I talked about woke people in my last video and using that term and how I don't like it, and how it's just basically woke people is just people educating themselves on their history. And I don't know why we call that woke. I'll call it gaining knowledge. I'll call it learning. Um, but that is why you see a lot of woke, quote unquote woke people um leaving the Black church and gaining their own knowledge about different religions and stuff like that, is because a lot of Black pastors ignore history. You know, the only time, it's so funny to me, like this cracks me up. But even looking back on it now, it's so funny to me that even in the Black church, there's one Black history program. Like y'all don't already go to a Black church. There's one Black history program the whole year. So not only not only have we done a disservice, but we've acted like our white counterparts who give us that 1 month to discuss our issues and our history, and then they move on to something else. And a lot of schools at this point don't even do a whole month. They do a couple of days where they talk about Martin Luther King, and they talk about Harriet Tubman, and they talk about Rosa Parks, and then they move on. So we have that one program that we schedule at 3:30 on a Sunday, and that's the program everybody is able to wear their little kente cloth. And then they have little kids come up there and basically talk about, Black history. And they talk about Madam C.J. Walker. Malcolm X is never really mentioned. They talk about Mary Cloud Bethune, safe people. I'm not going to say safe because some of them really, really, really help the struggle a lot. But I'm just saying people that you won't ever see Black Panthers at a Black church history program. You just won't see it happen. And that's it. And it cracks me up. And it doesn't really crack me up. Cracks me up. It just frustrates me that that type of thing is happening. And what a lot of people are frustrated about is that they were not educated in the Black church at all. The one thing that we were told to do, and I'm not going to speak for every church, but most of the churches that I've been to, with the exception of the last two that I have went to for a number of years, don't discuss the history of Black people, number one, in the Bible, or the history of Black people, period. And woke people, or people who are trying to gain knowledge about their history, they want to hear that. If they go to your church and the only thing that they hear is the same scriptures that you want to talk about the whole time, uh, um, the Lord don't put more on you than you can bear, which is a complete lie. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye people. Daniel was in the lion's den. Martha complained too much. These same scriptures over and over and over again, without giving a historical context that they can go back to and say that they were a part of. That is the reason why there is a decline in Black people, Black men in particular, going to church, because you refuse to put them in that Bible somewhere. You refuse to admit that there are Black people in that Bible. You continue to regurgitate these stories that you hear without any historical context. Meanwhile, the majority of the Bible, not even the majority of the Bible, the whole Bible is set in one continent and has people that have color like this. But you refuse to talk about it in your church. And then you wonder why people are angry at you. And you wonder why people don't mind saying certain things to you. Let's think about that for a while. Then not only do you do that, A lot of these churches say, well, we don't know what we're doing wrong. We don't know what we're doing wrong. We're inviting people to our church. We're inviting Black men to our church. We put up flyers, we go out to the community and we try to talk to these Black brothers and we try to bring them together. And I just wonder what your approach is. Let's talk about Black churches' approaches to getting Black males, especially, to go to church. I've seen this before, and comment below if you've seen this before too. I've seen a Black pastor drive up in a very nice car to an impoverished neighborhood, get out of his car, and talk to these Black males and tell them all the things that they're doing wrong, and then invite them to the church. I've seen that happen before. I've seen Black pastors who are totally not in tune with what's going on in today's society and then expect the flyer or them going out in the community to bring those Black males into the church. If you don't know who 50 Wap is, if you do not know who Kanye West is, if you do not know who Chance the Rapper is, if you do not know what's going on in today's society, pop culture, then you won't have Black males in your church. You have to be in tune with what's going on in society. And it's not going to help if you are an 85-year-old pastor. I know a pastor that was still in the pulpit and he was 80 years old. Did that pastor know how to use an iPad? Did that pastor know how to post a link on YouTube? Does he know how to use Periscope? And I'm not saying that every pastor has to be a social media type of pastor and post different things on there, but he must be in tune with what's going on in society. You can't pull up on no block of no Black men and not know what's going on with those Black men. We're talking about Black men that do not have jobs, who only are educated up to the 6th grade, if they're educated up to the 6th grade, who probably only read at a 4th grade level, if they read at a 4th grade level. Some that have already been to jail more than once or twice and they're only 20 years old. So for you to go outside and go, well, I've talked to those men and I don't understand why they won't come in. I'm trying to be down. I'm trying to be hip. You ain't nowhere near hip if you are not into current events and you don't know how to speak to those Black men. You're not. You pull up in a nice car and they sitting here, they can barely feed their family. They done been in jail. So half of the places that they apply to won't hire them. And then you wonder why they won't come into your house. Not to mention the fact that you're 80 years old. And on top of that, a lot of Black churches, in my opinion, have one leader. And he controls everything. And even if he is 80 years old, 75 years old, he has not trained up the Black men that he does have in the church that's a little bit younger to be the ones to go out and speak. And he won't let them speak in his own pulpit. So if he wanted to see younger men come into the church, he may want to step down every once in a while and let a younger person speak. But what we see is, even in these types of churches, is if he's the pastor, he's the only one making moves there. Ain't trained up nobody to deal with what's going on in society. Every service he has to speak at. And I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, and it's okay. Ruffle some feathers if you want. Be upset about it if you want. But at the same time, I'm going to have to tell the truth. I see a lot of pastors that do not want to give up their reign. And that's why you have the same members that you have in your church right now. The same members. And so that when you die, that church is going to die. Because you have not prepared anybody to deal with the issues that we face at this very moment. And those issues, and those issues have to be addressed. That's why if you look at some churches, you only see the family at their church. You see a lot of churches now where it's just their families in that church. And that church is made up of just that family. And that is the only way that church is surviving, is because just that family is there. Because that leader is so stuck on himself that he has not trained people. He has not been out in that community, knowing current events, knowing what's going on around it. He has not done any of that. And that's why your church will die, is when he dies. If a church is staying alive, if the pastor's gone, there's two things happening. And they're not dealing with the issues outside, there's two things happening. Their family is keeping that church alive. Family is keeping that church alive. Or they have trained that the next person, or they have trained somebody, or had a number of men that have been able to connect with the community. Some of these black pastors got to give up their reign. You wonder why the black church is declining? That's one of the reasons. Another reason is because most of the things that is happening in the church is just about biblical stuff. Now, I'm not saying your churches has to be social activists. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you have to have a rally or something like that, because Lord knows I hate marches. I'm sorry. It's not 1955 and it's not 1964. Marches in this day and age is not going to work. It's not going to help. It hasn't helped the last couple of years that we've been doing them. Basically, we just been walking up and down the streets, especially here in Chicago, walking up and down the streets, and that's not doing us any, it's just doing us a disservice. You know, that's another reason why altogether black people are leaving the church, because it just makes no sense for you guys just to be out there walking. Y'all not doing nothing. What was that walk about? We demand justice. Okay, demand justice. We demand the killing to stop. And I live in Chicago. We demand the killings to stop. Y'all just walking. Walking ain't gonna do not a goddamn thing. I'm gonna talk about that in a minute, but I just wanted to get that out there. But what I mean is that in most black churches, you have your Sunday service, you have Sunday school, and then like some type of a midweek refresher, Bible study, whatever. And that's it. So you don't have any programs throughout the week that assist the black community. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not speaking to everybody, because I know that there are some who have the homeless shelter at their churches. I know some who give food to the homeless on certain days of the week. But I'm talking about as far as educating our people at this point. You have to have certain programs that educate your people in your church that may not be centered on God. It may not be centered on God. You know, maybe you'll say a prayer at the beginning, maybe you'll say a prayer at the end, but you deal with some of the issues that face the church right now. You know, I mean, I'm not the church, but black males and black people in general right now. Maybe you have a discussion about the Walter Scott case. Maybe you have a discussion about the fact that there's still a water crisis in Flint, Michigan. Maybe you have a discussion about Black history, you know, and knowing who the Moors are, and knowing who W.E.B. Du Bois is, and Booker T. Washington is, and who these other people are. Or maybe you just pick a book and you read it and you put it in the context of church. But you cannot just sit there and ignore that people are thirsting for knowledge of their history, and you don't want to give it to them. You know, maybe you discussed that Samson was a black man. You know, maybe you discussed that. Maybe you discussed that Moses' wife was black and his father-in-law was a big, jolly black man who really instructed Moses on how to have courage and how to get his people to freedom. Maybe you discuss that. And then, you know, maybe you'll see more black people come. But to totally ignore what's going on in society is the reason why you don't have nobody in your church. I don't have anything else to say besides that. That's probably one of the reasons why you don't have Black people in your church. And then another thing that I have noticed is um, a lot of Black churches are hypnotizing people with this church music. And what I mean by church music, I mean this. Every video that I see on Instagram is somebody posting somebody shouting. And I don't know why it's coming up on my Instagram as much, but every time I look on Instagram, I see these new pages of just Black people shouting in churches. And it just gives off this delusion that everything is okay and everything is going well in the Black community. And that's just not the case. And people are getting tired of that. It's almost like they cut that music on to hypnotize you in the beginning, and that's all you do. That's all people who aren't going to church see you doing. They don't see you dealing with any of the issues. They just see this. That's all that they see. And so you can see where there could be frustration with Black people and why they're leaving your church, because that's all they see y'all doing. Where is, number one, where is the real worship at anyway? Number two, why are you recording it anyway? Why are you recording this anyway? And it looks fake and contrived. It doesn't look like you're worshiping God. It looks like it's just a show, just to be honest. And people are making a spectacle of it. It's not like people are like, oh my God, they are really worshiping God in there. Oh my God, I really want to go to that church. They sitting there cracking up at it and laughing and talking about how unreal it is. That's what they doing. And that's all they see you doing. And that's the problem. And just getting back to what Justin J said, he said, is God petty? I don't believe that God is petty. I believe that the Black church has ignored things so much so that it would seem as if God is not paying attention to us. And to be real honest, God dealt with current events. God dealt with current events. God was there uh, for current events. I mean, just look at God feeding 5,000 and 4,000. He fed them first before he talked about anything. You have to deal with the issues that are placed around your community. In Chicago, there are killings going on every freaking day. There are killings every day. We have weekends. Every news station on Sunday, on Monday, we'll let you know how many murders we've had that whole week. That whole weekend. That's the state in which we live in. And you have to address it. And like I said, I'm not speaking to everybody because I know everybody isn't the problem. It's just some churches want to ignore it and move on and talk about something else, or they completely do it altogether wrong. And this is where I get to that subject about marching. Y'all, we got to get past that marching thing. Marching has not helped us. It's not helping none of these young people be able to find jobs, to stop the killing in our community. It's not dealing with racist police officers that's killing our people. We need economic power, and the church is a great place to start with economic power. I believe the church, especially some of these big churches, should have some type of a business going besides the two that we always see, the school and the daycare. I do believe that we need to educate our own children. I do believe that. And I do believe we need to take care of our own children. But if those are our only two businesses as a Black church, then that's a problem. We need our own economic power. We need our own we need our own Black businesses. And so if you as a church can rally together and have a supermarket to feed your community, to have a homeless shelter, to have legal advice, legal services, that would be great. And like I said, some of these churches, they already have that. But I looked at a post that Dr. Boyce Watkins put up a while ago, and he said it would be great if the church could start to put together some businesses. and then maybe we can close the economic gap that we have with our white counterparts. If the Black church can come together and use some of that money to stop creating this building fund that we want, and adding different equipment to the church, and to actually have a business that helps the community in which they live in. It's time for us to stop thinking the way that we used to think. It's time for us to stop going, well, I think that we're doing all that we can. We had a couple of marches and rallies, and Al Sharpton came to our church, and Jesse Jackson came to our church and talked to us, and we've had these different things where we've discussed the police brutality and all this other stuff, and still not that many Black people are coming in, and don't want to discuss it. And we talked about the violence that's going on in our church, and I just still don't understand what's happening. It starts with you. It starts with your church. What you doing for the community? What history you're portraying to the community? And I just go back to, it cracks me up that the Black church does a Black history program once a year. It still cracks me up. I'm not coming on here to just totally bash the church. I went to a very good church, um, and we talked about these issues. And so it's just strange to me when these issues aren't discussed at Black churches, and people just act like they don't know why their churches aren't being filled, and why people don't want to go there. So some of the points that I made was that your church has to be current. Your pastor has to be current. He has to know what's going on in his community. Some people don't believe that. Some people that believe that they don't have to know. And hey, we'll see what happens to your church. I'm just saying, we'll see what happens to your church. So that's one of the reasons why also, you mask it with this church music, and you hypnotize people. And so although they're all happy in that church, when they leave out of that church, the same funky stuff and horrible stuff is still going on. And it upsets other people um, who are living in that environment. You won't call on to other leadership, that a younger current leadership that will help the church a little bit better. Um, and I mean, that's it. I mean, you know, Justin J, I will say to you, I don't think that God is petty, as much as I believe that we've been taught wrong. We haven't been taught how strong and mighty and courageous we are, and we have not been taught about economic power in our church, and what we can do to improve that, and to stop listening and doing the same things that we've done before, and relying on these leaders and these pastors to do it for us. We don't necessarily need these pastors to um, to lead anything. I don't believe that we need a leader, but we do need these Black churches to fall in line with what we're trying to do, which is to change our current issues, and to deal with them through economic power, through knowledge, through unity. And I can't even think of the other things. Just leave me a comment below. I know this is a tough subject, and it just seemed like I was ranting, and that I was a little bit mean. But leave me a comment below on what you feel the reason, or on why you feel the reason why Black people won't go to church. Some Black people are just going to the to be atheists. Some people are looking more into Islam. Um, there are a lot of Black people that are that are looking at a lot of other religions, and so I know that that's one of the reasons why that there is a decline in Black churches. But um, just leave me a comment below and let me know what you feel, how you feel about the Black church. Um, And if any of the points that I made were disrespectful to you, I do apologize for that. I'm not here to be disrespectful, but I am here to provoke thought. And I really want to know what you feel about that. So please leave me a comment below. Please like and subscribe to this channel and share this with other people so we can create a discussion. I'm Old School Heart.